She said, "I am keeping the apartment. You move out. I like it here." This was immediately after I confronted her about cheating. It was my apartment, my name alone on the lease. I said I will start packing. Then I packed her stuff instead, changed the locks, and left it all in the hallway. When she came home from her business trip, the reality of her legal standing hit her hard. I am 29, male. I have been with my girlfriend for 2 years and 4 months. She moved into my apartment about 14 months ago. Key phrase, my apartment. I have had this place for 5 years. My name is the only one on the lease. I pay the rent, $1,847 a month, directly from my bank account. She was supposed to contribute $600 monthly toward utilities and groceries. She did that for maybe the first 6 months. Then it became sporadic. Then it stopped almost entirely. I let it slide because I thought we were building a future. Last Tuesday, I found out she has been cheating on me. How? She left her iPad at home and it was synced to her phone. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't looking for trouble. A message notification popped up while I was moving the iPad off the couch to sit down. The preview showed enough to stop my heart. I unlocked it. I know some people think that is an invasion of privacy. But when you see a text that says, "I cannot wait to feel you again," from a contact named Mark Marketing, privacy goes out the window. I sat there and I read. The messages went back 3 months. Mark was a coworker. The thread was a detailed log of a full-blown affair. Conversations about meetups, descriptions of hotel rooms, explicit photos I wish I could scrub from my memory. But the kicker, the part that made my blood run cold, multiple references to her business trips. She had taken 4 trips in the past 3 months. Conferences, client meetings, training seminars. I had driven her to the airport twice. I had carried her bags. I had kissed her goodbye and told her to be safe. She wasn't at the airport. I cross-referenced the timestamps in the messages with her Uber history, which was also logged on the iPad. I drove her to the airport. She waited for me to leave. Then she Ubered to a parking garage where she picked up her car or met him. Then they drove to whatever hotel they were using. It was calculated. It was logistical. It was expensive. I spent about 2 hours reading everything. I took photos of the screen with my phone. Then I sat in the dark for another hour just processing. By the time she got home from work, I was calm. Scary calm. The kind of calm you feel when the worst has already happened. I showed her the iPad. I asked her to explain. She didn't even try to deny it. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just sighed loudly like I was being dramatic. "I was going to tell you eventually. It just happened." "It just happened?" I asked. 3 months of planning. Fake business trips. That isn't an accident. That is a campaign. "Whatever," she said, kicking off her shoes. "We can talk about it later. I am tired." Then came the conversation that made me write this post. The moment her entitlement reached stratospheric levels, I said, "We are done. I want you to move out." She laughed. Actually laughed. She walked into the kitchen and poured herself a glass of water. Then she turned to me and said, "I am not going anywhere. I like this apartment. I made it a home. You should move out if you cannot handle this." I stared at her. I actually looked around the room to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. "This is my apartment. My lease, my name." "So," she shrugged, "I live here too. I have tenant rights. You cannot just kick me out. That is illegal." "We will see about that." She rolled her eyes. "Whatever. I have a business trip this weekend anyway. We can talk when I get back and figure out how to make this work. Maybe we can try couples therapy or something. Mark says open relationships are actually healthier." The audacity. She was literally going to spend the weekend with the guy she had been sleeping with, and then come back and suggest an open relationship while living in my apartment. I realized then that arguing was pointless. She lived in a different reality. I said, "Sure, you are right. I will start packing." She smiled like she had won something, like she had successfully managed an unruly employee. "Good. I think that is the mature choice. I will help you look for a new place when I get back." She left Friday morning. She gave me a kiss on the cheek like everything was normal, said she would be back Sunday night. The second her Uber pulled away, I locked the door. And I started packing. Update 1. The eviction. Okay, so a lot happened. Let me break it down legally and logistically. Friday morning, immediately after she left, I called my landlord. We have a good relationship. I explained the situation. Relationship ended. She is cheating. I need her out. He asked the golden questions. Is she on the lease? Number, does she receive official mail here, bills, government docs? No. Are any utilities in her name? No. He confirmed what I suspected. She was never added to the lease. She had never established formal residency. She was essentially a long-term guest. This distinction is crucial. Tenant rights are strong and require a 30-day eviction notice. Guest rights in my state are revocable at any time by the leaseholder. He said, "You are within your rights to ask her to leave. If she causes trouble, call me." Then I got to work. I was methodical. I didn't want to give her any ammunition to claim I destroyed her property. I separated everything clearly hers from everything clearly mine. Her clothes, her shoes, her makeup, her toiletries. I packed them into her own suitcases and the cardboard boxes she had originally moved in with, which I had kept in the storage closet. Her books, her weird decorative pillows, her collection of expensive candles, her yoga mat, her kitchen gadgets, the spiralizer she used once. By Saturday afternoon, I had 17 boxes, 3 suitcases, and 2 garbage bags of clothes neatly stacked in my living room. It looked like a warehouse. Then I called a locksmith. I didn't want her key to work even for a second. It cost me $340 for a new deadbolt and door handle, but it was worth every penny for the peace of mind. I got 4 copies of the new key. One for me, one for my landlord, 2 spares. Saturday evening, I moved everything into the hallway outside my apartment. I didn't throw it. I didn't scatter it. I placed it neatly against the wall so it wasn't blocking the corridor or the fire exit. Then I took a picture of the hallway, time-stamped, proof that her property was safe and accessible. Then I texted her, "Your stuff is in the hallway. Locks are changed. Do not come back." She didn't respond for about 6 hours. She was probably busy with Mark. Then the replies started coming in. Her, "What? This isn't funny." Her, "We agreed you were moving out." Me, "We didn't agree to anything. I said I would start packing." "I did." Yours. Her, "You cannot do this. I have rights." Me, "You have the right to collect your belongings from the hallway before the building manager moves them to storage. That is about it." Her, "I am calling the police." Me, "Go ahead." She did. Sunday afternoon, I got a knock on my door. 2 officers. They were professional but looked annoyed to be dealing with a domestic dispute. They asked to hear my side. I showed them my lease. My name only. I showed them utilities in my name. I explained she had never been formally added as a tenant. I showed them texts where she had admitted to cheating and told me to move out of my own apartment. One of the officers, an older guy who looked very tired, just sighed. "Sir, this is a civil matter. She is not on the lease. There is no evidence she established tenancy. You are within your rights to revoke her guest status." He turned to his partner. "Let us go." My ex showed up about 2 hours later. I watched through the peephole. She stood in the hallway staring at her stuff like she couldn't process what she was seeing. It was a physical manifestation of her consequences. Then she started banging on the door. "Open this door right now. You cannot do this to me. I live here." I didn't respond. I sat on my couch and turned up the volume on the TV. "I know you are in there. This is illegal. I am going to sue you." She banged for maybe 15 minutes. A neighbor from down the hall came out and asked her to stop. She screamed at him. He called building security. Eventually, she started loading her stuff into her car. It took her about an hour and a half. She had to make multiple trips to the parking garage. She was crying by the end, the angry, screaming kind of crying. Part of me felt something, a small part. But then I remembered the iPad. I remembered the business trips. I remembered her laughing at me, and the feeling vanished. Then she was gone. Update 2, the siege. After she cleared out her stuff, I figured that might be the end of it. I was naive. This was just the beginning of the extinction burst. when a manipulator ramps up their behavior because they are losing control. Monday morning, I got a call from my building manager. Apparently, she had been to the leasing office first thing in the morning claiming I had illegally evicted her. The manager told her she wasn't on any lease and there was nothing they could do. She made a scene yelling, crying, threatening to call her lawyer. She doesn't have a lawyer, she has parking tickets she hasn't paid. Tuesday, she showed up at my job. I work in an engineering firm, corporate office, badge access, security in the lobby. She told the front desk she was my wife and there was a family emergency. They called up to my desk. "Sir, your wife is here. She says it is urgent." "I am not married," I told them. "Please ask her to leave." Security escorted her out. My supervisor pulled me aside afterward. I had to explain the situation. It was humiliating. That night she started the text campaign. She used a new number because I had blocked her old one. "You humiliated me. I had to sleep in my car Sunday night. I hope you are happy. My mom says you committed a crime and we are looking into pressing charges. The guy I was seeing is done with me now too because of all this drama you caused. You ruined 2 relationships." I screenshotted everything. I didn't respond. I blocked the new number. Wednesday, her mother called me. "You need to let my daughter back into that apartment. She has nowhere to go. This is cruel." "Ma'am, with respect, your daughter cheated on me for 3 months and then told me to move out of my own home. She can stay with you. We do not have room, that is not my problem." "Young man, I will make this your problem. My brother-in-law is a retired police sergeant." "Cool, have him call me." I hung up. Thursday, I got a 3-page handwritten letter from her in my mailbox. The gist: she was sorry for how things escalated. She never meant for any of this to happen. She was going through something when the affair started. And then the beg. Couldn't we work something out? Maybe she could stay in the apartment for just 1 more month while she figured things out. She would pay rent. She would stay out of my way. We didn't even have to talk. The letter ended with, "I know you still love me. You wouldn't have been so angry if you didn't." That is something to build on. Incredible, truly incredible. I shredded it. Friday. This is where it gets interesting. I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was him, Mark, the guy she had been cheating with. "Hey, is this my name? This is Mark. Look, this is awkward. I was seeing your girlfriend." "Yeah, I know who you are. What do you want?" "She has been staying at my place since Sunday. She showed up saying it was temporary just until she found something else. But she is. Man, she is a lot. She is talking about moving in permanently. She told my roommate that I was going to propose soon. We have been hooking up for 3 months. I barely know her." I almost laughed. "Sounds like a you problem." "I am not trying to make it your problem. I just wanted to give you a heads up. She is telling people you were abusive, that you hit her and that is why she was seeing me to escape." My blood went cold. "What?" "Yeah, she has been posting about it online, calling friends, telling everyone who will listen. I do not know what actually happened, but I figured you should know. I do not want to be dragged into a domestic violence investigation." I thanked him genuinely. That was actually decent of him. After I hung up, I went online. I found her posts, 3 of them on different platforms, all telling a sob story about how her emotionally abusive ex had thrown her out on the street with nothing because she tried to leave him. No mention of the cheating. No mention that it was my apartment. Just painting herself as a victim fleeing domestic violence. This is DARVO. Deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. Accusations like that stick. Even when they are proven false, they linger. Final update. The legal response. I realized I couldn't just ignore this anymore. Reputation is everything. I hired a lawyer, not to sue her. A lawsuit would drag out for months and she has no money. Instead, I had him send a formal cease and desist letter. The letter was a work of art. It documented her false statements about abuse, defamation, her harassment at my workplace, her false claims to the leasing office, her continued attempts to contact me after being told to stop, harassment. It made clear that if she continued making false statements, particularly the abuse allegations, I would pursue legal action for damages, and I would subpoena the affair partner, Mark, as a witness to testify about the timeline of the relationship. It also noted that I had preserved all evidence, including her own text messages admitting to the affair and telling me to move out. She got the letter on a Monday. By Wednesday, every public post about me was deleted. But here is the thing about the internet. Screenshots are forever, and I wasn't the only one who took them. A mutual friend, someone I had been close with before dating my ex, reached out to me after seeing the posts. She had suspected something was off. She had done some digging. She found my ex's original social media posts from months ago bragging about her work trips, with photos that were clearly not from any business conference. This friend started quietly sharing the truth with our mutual social circle. Not a big public blast, just quiet conversations. Hey, I know what she is saying, but here is what actually happened. I saw the evidence. Within 2 weeks, the narrative had shifted. People who had been commenting support on her abuse victim posts were now distancing themselves. Her coworker, Mark, apparently broke things off completely after the cease and desist mentioned him as a potential witness. He wanted nothing to do with a legal battle. He kicked her out. Last I heard, she had to move in with her mother after all, despite there not being room. The final piece of justice came from my landlord. He called me about 2 weeks later just to check in. He mentioned something I hadn't known. Apparently, when she had first moved in with me, she had been rude to the building staff multiple times, complained about noise that didn't exist, demanded maintenance for things that weren't broken, talked down to the cleaning crew. I will be honest with you, my landlord said. When you first called about this situation, I thought maybe it was a messy breakup and both sides had a point. Then I talked to my staff. Nobody here liked her. Everyone is relieved she is gone. I laughed for the first time in weeks. So that is where things stand now. I am not going to pretend I am totally fine. 2 years with someone thinking you are building something, finding out it was all a lie. That messes with you, but I am okay. My apartment is mine again. It is quiet. It is clean. I rearranged the furniture so it doesn't look like our living room anymore. It looks like mine. I bought a new plant, one of those rubber trees that is supposed to be impossible to kill. We will see. My friends have been solid, the ones who matter anyway. A few people chose her side without asking me, and I let them go without a fight. If they believe her abuse claims without even asking for my side, they weren't real friends. My coworker who witnessed the lobby incident bought me a beer after work. Dude, he said, that was the most dramatic thing that has ever happened at this company. You are a legend. Not the reputation I wanted, but I will take it. As for her, I genuinely do not know what she is doing now, and I genuinely do not care. Her stuff is gone. Her key doesn't work. Her lies got exposed. Whatever comes next for her is her own problem. Someone asked me in the comments of my first post if I felt guilty about how I handled this. Packing her stuff, changing the locks, leaving it all in the hallway while she was off with her affair partner. No, I do not. She cheated on me for 3 months. She looked me in the eyes, kissed me goodbye, and went to hotels with someone else. When I found out and said we were done, she laughed and told me to leave my apartment because she liked it there. And then she tried to ruin my reputation with lies about abuse. I didn't do anything illegal. I didn't do anything violent. I didn't destroy her stuff or blast her publicly. I just refused to let her walk all over me. I enforced boundaries. I protected myself. Some people would call that cold. I call it self-respect. The funniest part of all of this, about a week ago I was cleaning out a junk drawer in the kitchen and found one of her hair ties. Just a plain black elastic. I stared at it for a second. This tiny artifact of someone who used to share my space. And then I threw it in the trash. That is it. That is the whole metaphor. She is a hair tie in the trash now. Meaningless. Gone. I am going to be fine. If you think I made the right move by evicting her, hit the subscribe button. We talk about legal rights and boundaries here on Story Sparks. Thanks for watching.